Hi, folks, and welcome to week number 12 and unit 4. I always like to think about unit 4 here as your ability to show off everything you've learned over the course of the semester, okay? We start out with some analytical work. We work into a small research project with SA3, and then we're going to move on to SA4 here. I'm going to talk about the SA4 assignment in a minute. Just two turn-in dates this week. I'm just giving you a little bit of heads up for next week. The SA3 final draft will be due next Monday. Okay, so just giving you kind of a heads up about that. So for this week, watch week 12 video. You're doing that right now. Watch using Turnitin. That is actually a video about how you can use Turnitin.com's plagiarism checker to look at your own essays and what this tells you. I've got a little video on how to do that. Please watch that. Look for an email regarding peer review that to be completed in Google Drive. That will be out probably by Friday morning, if not earlier. Complete your peer review. Look for my feedback and your peers in your Google Doc. Okay. And then for Thursday, read the SA4 assignment and start thinking about possible SA4 topics. This is an opportunity for you to reach out and say, hey, professor, I'm thinking about this or this. Can you give me some guidance? Glad to work with you. Glad to give you some advice here. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at it. Here is that Turnitin video. Here is the submission for SA3. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the SA4 assignment. Okay, so let's start simple. SA4 is a research paper. It's an investigative research paper. It's a long research paper, 2,500, 3,000 words, 10 pages. Okay, that's about where we are. Now, in terms of background, this semester, we've analyze sources of information. If we think about essay 1 and 2, what we really did is look at whether popular articles or scholarly articles do a better job of explaining research. I think we found that generally scholarly articles do. And then what makes those scholarly articles strong, right? What about the study design, the ways in which we try to answer questions might make them more or less reliable, okay? With SA3, we practiced a part of the research process, breaking down a big claim into smaller chunks and finding a research answer. Ordinarily, for a long research paper, I'd ask you to just write a long essay on one of a couple specific topics. But part of English 102 is about information literacy, right? It's about recognizing when you have an information need, finding and analyzing the answers, and presenting that material, in this case, in a written paper, written report. Okay, part of this is identifying the information need, i.e. discovering a topic. Okay, SA4 is, as I said, 7 to 10 pages. It's investigative rather than informative. So an informative paper would tell us something that people already know. Maybe the experts in this already know, in the field already know. What we actually want to do is try to investigate something. And it should be focused on solving a practical problem that spans the full research process. Now, I've got a little link here. This takes you to a video. It's not about how to do research. It's about how to think about the research process, okay? SA3 did 2 of the 4 steps in that process, research question and research answer. This paper is going to go through all 4 steps, okay? And I think that's really going to help you think through how to come up with a topic, how to narrow that topic down. You can watch that video just by clicking the link here. It's on next week's work as well, so you'll see it show up next week as well, but it will help you to think through potential topics. If there are unresolved questions or problems that you discovered in an earlier research piece that you want to focus on more, you can use that as a jumping off point. I will be glad to give you guidance as to whether or not it'll work. This is an opportunity, again, for you to sort of go back and forth with me about possible topics. When in doubt, go smaller and more focused rather than a large, broad one. The proposal, which will be due next week, should have a topic and a practical problem. Okay, a research question, and then an explanation of why is this topic you can study, why is it worthy of study, how you can handle this topic in 7 to 10 pages. Okay, you can't talk about cancer in 7 to 10 pages. You might be able to talk about some specific aspect of a specific kind of cancer, but you can't talk about it broadly. So it's about sort of like making sure that this topic's going to fit the page requirement. All right, and then, of course, why the general public would be interested. Why does this matter? 7 to 10 pages, 2,500 words, multiple sources cited in MLA format. So some hints, okay? Don't consider topics that are merely informational. How can we stop obesity? We know the answer to that question. We stop obesity, eating less, exercising more. Okay? What's the best treatment for lupus? Again, we know that. Basically, there's a guidelines for if a person has lupus, this is the set of processes we go through in order to treat it. Okay. These are things that are informative. Okay. We want to work on things that are investigative, i.e., that we don't know the answer to already. Okay. Very specific issues or problems that need to be addressed. Like what technological innovation can do the most to decrease traffic fatalities? If our practical problem is that traffic fatalities are high, they've gone up, okay, we might ask what technological innovations could we implement nationwide that would have the biggest impact on reducing those traffic fatalities. Okay, that gives us a very specific thing. We don't necessarily know the answer to it. It's not a given that, oh, we need to do X, Y, and Z. If we knew what X, Y, and Z were immediately, and it were cost effective, we would already have it in place, right? The reason we have traffic fatalities is because we don't know the solution to it. Your job, of course, then, is to do some research and figure out, well, what are the biggest causes of traffic fatalities, right? And we'll work our way through the problem, try to understand an answer to that question, and then extrapolate some practical solutions out of that, okay? Again, please watch the video on the research process. That's really going to be helpful. Again, it's on the homework for next week, so if you watch it this week, you're just a little bit ahead of the game. As always, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out.